Our speaker today is a native son of the Midwest who carefully investigated universities throughout the nation and came to Ole Miss in the mid-1960s. Because of the uncommon department of journalism that existed here that offered a BSJ in the business school, he graduated to become a leading global communications market executive. He has practiced crisis management in the United States, Asia, and the Pacific Basin for 30 years. As a senior officer and member of McDonald's Corporation top management, he was in charge of worldwide communications and led the company's global crisis management, response, and preparedness team from 1981 to 1998. He was an officer of McDonald's Corporation for 19 of his 27 years with the company. He has firsthand experience on the ground management with health issues and food and airborne illnesses, and he has developed terrorist command and control plans for American companies in the United States, Europe, and Asia. He was a first lieutenant and a paratrooper in the U.S. Army Special Forces in Vietnam from 1968 to 1970. He also is a former member of the board of directors of the San Diego Padres professional baseball team. He was a senior advisor to the late Joan B. Kroc, widow of McDonald's Corporation. Upon her passing in 2003, our speaker was co-trustee of Mrs. Kroc's estate, headquartered in San Diego, California. He has lectured on crisis management at Dartmouth, Purdue, and the universities of Nebraska, Mississippi, and Notre Dame. At Notre Dame, he is a speaker in the MBA program and former chair and current member of the Advisory Council for the College of Business. In 2006, the Kroc Institute at the University of Notre Dame inaugurated a research chair in peace studies in his honor. Welcome home, Dick Starmann.
Well, thank you very much. What Will failed to mention is I'm an old hamburger guy. So, first of all, I want to thank you, the class of 2018, to you, Will Norton, the assistant deans, and the faculty for inviting me here today. It truly is an honor for me to stand before you. 53 years ago, there was a skinny kid from the south side of Chicago that got on a plane in Chicago and flew to Memphis. He got on a bus in Memphis, and then he ended up in Oxford, Mississippi. He took a taxi from the square out to the campus, and he registered. And after all, this was kind of foreign territory for me, my first time in the South ever. You know, everybody talked funny, and I couldn't understand them, and they couldn't understand me. I learned to say, hey, and hi, y'all. And I learned about collard greens and catfish and hush puppies. And I also learned that grits grow on trees. After registering, I went to my dormitory. I started learning the campus, Brady Hall, which was a journalism school at that time, the cafeteria, which was important, Army ROTC building, where I was in Army ROTC, the laundry, of course, sorority row. And then the really important was the shack, the bootlegger called Johnny's, down the highway towards Holly Springs. My new roommate, Douglas Colin Brown, he was from Calhoun County, Mississippi, and he called me Richard. Everybody else called me the Yank. My loves at Ole Miss soon became Army ROTC, the Mississippian, which today I believe is the Daily Mississippian, and Kathy Smith from Vicksburg, Mississippi, my future wife. And not necessarily in that order, by the way. When I was at Ole Miss, I worked hard. I really did. I worked at journalism, I worked at my business courses, I took speech courses, I took all kinds of Army ROTC courses, writing classes, and I also made the mistake of running for the editor of the school newspaper, the Mississippian, and I lost that to Charles Overby. I was kind of a dumb Yankee to run against Charles in the election. But in all fairness, I also played hard at Ole Miss. There were poker games, there were trips to the Shack, the bootlegger, spent some time on Sorority Row, and then there were Memphis trips. In the summer of 1968, I finally got through statistics and I graduated. I was not allowed to wear one of these, this fashion statement. I'd never had one of these on before. I graduated that morning in the middle of the summer of '68. I was commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Army. I headed for Fort Benning, Georgia, where I was there for 6 months, then to Fort Bragg, North Carolina for another 6 months, and then I headed to the big rice paddy in South Vietnam. Late in 1970, I came home from Vietnam. I was married, I had a baby on the way, a baby boy on the way, and I finally got out of the Army. I thought initially when I was here at Ole Miss, I wanted to be an Army guy. But then I changed careers and I started looking for a job. And I ended up at a Chicago advertising agency, and I'm working on Procter & Gamble, and suddenly I was an ad guy. And I really wanted to be an ad guy and stay that way. I was there about a year when I had a friend who also had a friend, this old man with gray hair. He was 54 years old. His name was Ray Kroc, and he was building these little hamburger stands in different parts of the United States. My mother called them hamburger stands because my parents were very disappointed when I joined McDonald's. Now, Ray Kroc liked ex-military people. Why did he like military guys, Army guys? Well, we had short hair, shined shoes, clean fingernails, and we knew how to take orders. And I knew how to do all of those things, but I knew nothing about the hamburger business. So you ask yourself, why did this guy who wanted to be in the Army, and then he was an ad guy, end up working for hamburger stands? Well, I'll tell you, the people who ran the company were very smart, they were very interesting, they were intriguing. They had a vision about their business and they had a passion about selling hamburgers. They were different and they were exciting. There's an old saying in this world that find the job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I was lucky. I got ketchup in my veins. And I loved it. I loved working for McDonald's. And it was growing like crazy back in those days. Ray Kroc used to say, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rot. And we were green and growing. And I was so lucky and fortunate to join McDonald's. Suddenly, I was a hamburger guy. We worked hard and played hard at McDonald's also. It was an atmosphere of growth, integrity, transparency. I used to call it the no BS rule. There was a focus on the brand, and there were no politics in the company. McDonald's allowed me to contribute, to lead, and to make decisions, to grow. In 10 years, I went from working with a few hundred stores in the southern part of the United States to thousands of stores around the world, from Oxford to Tokyo, from Batesville to Berlin, from Pontotoc to Paris. If you'll allow me just 1 second, or a couple of minutes, I'd like to give you some do's and don'ts that I found out and experienced over the years. First of all, if you don't have a job yet, cast your net wide. You never know where you're gonna land in this world. So take a look at everything. Go on every interview. Don't be afraid if you are with an organization and you're new and you're young, don't be afraid to admit mistakes. Everybody does, and it's refreshing as a management person when somebody has the ability to say, I kind of screwed it up. I didn't do it right. Do be a team player. Try to be a team player, but don't hesitate to lead in your positions. Don't hide behind consensus or committees. If you're in charge, be in charge. There's an old saying in the Army, when in command, command. Be yourself. Be real, be genuine, be authentic, honest, direct. And also, be polite. Show respect and courtesy to everybody. Say thank you to those you work with, not only to the people above you, but especially to the people below you. The most important person in a McDonald's restaurant is the maintenance man or woman. They work in the middle of the night, they work hard, they put the shine and sparkle on the golden arches. Be polite to them. Do work hard. That's not something that's unattractive. In fact, it shows grit and tenacity. It's still popular out there. Be willing to demonstrate to your organization, whatever it is, a newspaper, a corporation, that you're willing to work hard and that no job is too small for you. And finally, don't ever forget those who helped you along the path of life. Of course, your parents. For me, it was my grandfather who taught me how to grow and thrive on the south side of Chicago. Dr. Jer Hoare, who was a professor in the journalism school here at Ole Miss. He taught me to write and to rewrite and to rewrite again. And I learned a great deal from him. My sergeant major in Vietnam, James L. Clow, who not only saved my life, but he used to say to me, "Lieutenant, you gotta be hostile, mobile, and agile." And I've never forgotten it. Fred Turner, the second chairman of McDonald's. He built McDonald's around the world in over 100 countries. He used to say, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. And that's what he did in his leadership role at McDonald's. Finally, Father Theodore Hesburgh, the 35-year president of the University of Notre Dame. He taught me charity, love, and forgiveness. And I'll never forget the impact that he had on my life. You know, a lot has changed in the last 50 years since I've been here. So just a couple of final thoughts before we continue the program. Writing still matters, whether it's on a computer or with a pencil and pen. Work at it, it's worthwhile. Speaking is a must, not only to each other, but to groups, and acquire those skills if you can and work at it. And successfully deal with failure in whatever company or organization and in your job. Everybody has failures. Attack, reemerge, try something new and different. And remember, everybody fails at something. Today I'm so thankful to Ole Miss. It not only gave me an education, a superb education, I learned an awful lot about the South and its wonderful people. It helped me acquire confidence and different aspects and things that were important in business. And finally, once again, thank you all for your generous attention and your invitation to be your guest speaker today. Tomorrow, I head for home, going north. I'm going to leave this magnificent campus with mixed feelings, both happy and sad emotions. There's a German expression, it's my favorite, it kind of sums it up. Mit einem lachendem und einem weinendem Auge, a smile in one eye, a teardrop in the other. Congratulations, God bless you, the class of 2018. Thank you very much.